Alright guys, welcome back to Season 1, Episode 15 of Soaring Highs and Crushing Lows. I'm your host, as always, Fernassus, coming to you live from the Crack Shack here in Davie, Florida. And this is, like I said, Episode 15 of Season 1. We're going to take Season 1 all the way up to Episode 25, at which point we'll begin Season 2. You see how that works? Guys, quite frankly, I don't know that I should be even doing an episode right now. I think my blood pressure is through the roof. I'm all worked up. You know what I'm saying? I'm all worked up. You work 12 hours a day. You try and just get through the day, but sometimes you just have a bad day. And people, well, assholes, will say this to you. You know, the world's not out to get you. Wrong. Wrong. Some days I disagree. I really do think the world is out to get me. I mean, I was basically bullied all day at work by store owners. As you guys know, I deliver ice cream. It's not exactly rocket science. But I'm filling up the ice cream freezer, and I have a store owner who's counting every cup over my shoulder. And I won't do the accent at risk of being racist, but he was a 7-Eleven store owner. Use your imagination what nationality and what accent you think that he had. But he stood over my shoulder going, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as I'm filling the ice cream freezer. Dude, I just want to listen to a goddamn podcast. Maybe Tom Segura, maybe Theo Vaughn. These are the guys that I find entertaining. Let me just listen to them in my ears while I fill the ice cream freezer so it makes my job a little more, I don't know, less stressful. I'm just trying to fill the damn freezer. And this guy, in no particular accent, is going 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, he counted all the way up to 220 cups. Okay? Do you know how long it takes for a man, non-particular 7-Eleven store owner accent, to count the 220? My God, I would have rather had the count from Sesame Street count to 220. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 220 is a long way. So he sits there counting. Then he gets to 220, guys, and he says to me, buddy, oh, I just did the accent. Buddy, I think it was 218. I said, listen, you just counted. My ears are bleeding because you just counted to 220 in my ear with a pen. Is it 220 or 218? I almost did the accent again. He says, I think it was 218. I said, fine. It's 218. You know what? Let's make it 217. I'm not sitting here and having an argument over 2 cups of ice cream. I don't care that much. 2 cups? Oh, and I guarantee you, by the way, that people are stealing this guy's ice cream left and right. He was just a pain in my balls. My work day goes on. I mean, I hate South Florida. I hate it here. It rains every day, and the assholes that live here, they say things like this. Well, you know, it's just the wet season. The wet season? Dude, this isn't the Amazon rainforest, okay? The rain that's happening here this year is abnormal. And first of all, I don't listen to any fucking Florida locals at all anymore. When it rained for 10 hours straight, and I told everyone, hey, this is biblical. This is apocalyptic. All these redneck douchebags said to me, that's just what it does here in Florida. It rains. Next thing you know, the airport's underwater. The streets are underwater. They can't... By the way, if your house got fucked in Florida by that storm, I'm watching the news down here, and they don't even give a shit. FEMA came down and was like, it ain't that bad. Because you wouldn't... First of all, you would have no idea that this place was under Noah the Ark type water. You would have no idea because guess what? 16 hours later, it's so goddamn hot here that all the water was evaporated. I mean, there was nothing. You would have never known there was a flood here, but it was. So then you bring in these jackasses from Washington who come down 2 weeks later to evaluate it, and they basically say, doesn't look that bad to me. Dude, we were swimming. We were literally doing the breaststroke to our cars 2 weeks ago. So, no offense, FEMA, go fuck yourself. If you haven't really lived in Florida, and I mean lived here, I've been here for 2 years now, I don't really want to hear your opinion on this place. I mean, it's not great. It's really not that great of a place. Yeah, you come here in February when it's 16 degrees in Philadelphia, and you come to Fort Lauderdale, and you're like, man, I'd like to live here. No, you wouldn't. Okay? No, you wouldn't. 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 No, you would not. Okay? This place fucking sucks. Anyway, oh, I digress. I'm sorry to go on a rant there, but listen, it's my show. I do it alone from my studio apartment. Quite frankly, I'll do whatever the hell I want. So I went on a bit of a rant there, so I apologize, but let's get into today's episode. Now, episode 15 is going to be based around the restaurant industry. What happens is, if you've never worked in a restaurant, if you've never been a waiter, you've never been a waitress, you've never been a barback, you've never been a busboy, you don't really have the right to complain. Now, granted, there's some situations where the place is completely fucked up and you can complain, but you should sort of use your discretion on that. What inspired me to do this episode, and I guess I'll get right into that story, was this past weekend I was in Naples, Florida for Memorial Day with my girlfriend, Madison the Magnificent, as we call her, and we were having a nice time. On Saturday night we went out to a restaurant, and it was a fancy restaurant. The kind of restaurant where the guy brings over the wine, and you're supposed to sip the wine and sift it through your mouth and then spit it in a bucket. I said, hey, no offense, Javier, I can't tell the difference if you give me a bottle of wine from 7-Eleven or if you give me a bottle of wine that's been aged 18 years in a fucking log cabin in Northern California. Okay? I don't know the difference. I'm a borderline alcoholic. I'm just pour the wine. So that was the fancy restaurant on Saturday night. And we didn't really like the place. Okay? We didn't really like it. Whatever my girlfriend has a peanut allergy. She says to the waitress, is there any peanuts in this? Just want to make a thing. And the waitress says, I'm sorry, the chef left. Now this is before the food came out. I said, I'm sorry, the chef left? And I just found that amusing. I have never, ever complained to a waiter or waitress in my life. We both sort of laughed about it. The chef left before our food came out. Long story short, we just got some appetizers and a bottle of wine. Tipped the waitress. It doesn't matter how the experience is. You always tip and get the fuck out of there. You don't have to go back, but you always tip and leave. That's sort of my etiquette on it. So that's what we did. Now, the next night, we're trying to find a place that's a little more less classy, but probably has like more seafood options. Like that place had like 6 options, and I could only pronounce 2 of them. So we go to this place in Naples, Florida called the Deep Lagoon. First of all, love the name. We get some seafood, and we're having drinks, and things are going well. But there's an older couple to the right of us, and they're from Philadelphia, by the way, guys. Not a good look for our city. It's an elderly woman with her husband. And at first, there's no real need to pay attention to them. They're not doing anything. But their food comes out, and the lady says, no. This salmon is all wrong. It's all wrong. So the bartender, she was awesome. I forget her name. Doesn't matter. If you're ever in Naples, Florida, go to the Deep Lagoon. Ask for the Asian bartender. She was awesome. She was fantastic. She was on top of it. She was friendly. She was funny. The whole 9 yards, the whole shabazz. So she does what any normal bartender would do. I apologize. What was the problem with it? And this lady is just, first of all, I don't fucking know what could possibly be wrong with the salmon. She's yapping away, and she's being very calm with her. So then she says, listen, we'll comp your meal. Okay, we'll comp the meal. I apologize. I'll talk to the chef. Not a big deal. Now, for a normal person, that's not a big deal. You just say, hey, look, I really don't like the salmon. Bartender says, oh, look, I'll comp it. Oh, really? Oh, thank you. And you move on with your night. Now, this wasn't a normal lady. She's going on and on and on about the salmon. Nobody gives a fuck, okay? The bartender already comped your meal. At that point, shut the fuck up and order a grilled cheese, okay? Obviously, we're never going to meet your expectations. And this is why this episode is dedicated to my friends in the restaurant industry, because if you're working at a mid-level place, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus here, maybe the Millers. Let's just say Miller's Ale House, Applebee's, the Deep Lagoon, which is where we were. The Deep Lagoon was basically a chain seafood restaurant. Nothing really that fancy about it. Just like most restaurants that middle class people go to. And this lady's in there. She thinks she's on an episode of goddamn Gordon Ramsay. And she's giving her a hard time. So the bartender says, listen, I've comped your meal. Do me a favor. If you still want to, if you still have complaints, and she, by the way, she was so nice. If you still have complaints about this, come back tomorrow. The manager will be here at 11 a.m. Now, me, I don't even know. I'm sucking down oysters. I'm putting shrimp in my mouth like I'm drinking an old fashioned. I'm having a great time. I'm on vacation, baby. I could, if you could have brought me out the salmon, I would have no idea there was anything wrong with it. So I'm pretty much a bartender, a waiter's best friend. So anyway, she tells the old lady, come back tomorrow. If you really feel that passionate about it, come back tomorrow and talk to the manager. We decide, we stay there for a while, and we're drinking, and I was pretty drunk, and we stayed up till 4 in the morning watching YouTube. Now we got to drive home. It's 11:30. I said, hey, let's stop in the Deep Lagoon, which, by the way, I love the Deep Lagoon. This isn't a paid advertisement. So we go back in the next morning, okay, 11:30, gonna get a Bloody Mary, some appetizers, and get back on the road. I'm sitting there drinking the Bloody Mary. Who walks in? The lady from the night before. Okay? I want you to think about something. She goes out to dinner with her husband. She gets the salmon. She doesn't like it. She complains about it. She gets her meal comped. Okay? After that, there's nothing else we can do for you. She comps the meal. The bartender says, hey, look, if it's really that much of a problem, come back tomorrow. She actually comes back. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how pathetic your life has to be when you go out for a meal on a Sunday night, you don't like it? Oh, God forbid that you actually come back the next day. And no offense to Naples, Florida, but that is just an old white person town. All right? And no offense to white people, but when you're old, you're white, you've had money your whole life, now you're living in Naples, you got nothing else to do. All you're going to do is bitch. And this is your NFL Sunday. Oh my God, the Deep Lagoon didn't cook my salmon the perfect way I wanted it. Oh my God, shut the fuck up. Anyway, she decides to come back, talk to the manager. Now I get a Bloody Mary on me. I see her walking in. I fall out of my chair laughing. I'm cracking up. I think this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't breathe. I'm wheezing. I got snot coming out of my nose. I'm like, this lady has nothing else to do with her life. How pathetic are you? What was the morning like? Okay, she wakes up. Good morning, sweetheart. Well, probably not, because she's obviously an evil person. She wakes up. Her husband's next to her. He's been trapped with her probably 30 years. And of course, these are the type of people, they don't have kids. They got nothing going for them. She says, wake up, honey. That restaurant opens up at 11 o'clock, the Deep Lagoon. I think we ought to go down there and talk to the manager. He's probably like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. They come up the meal. Let's just relax. It's Memorial Day. She's like, no. They didn't cook my salmon the perfect way. We have to go back. This lady is diabolical. So she walks in. I'm laughing at her. I think this is hysterical. I think she's the biggest see you next Tuesday I've ever seen in my life. And the poor manager has to sit down and talk to her. I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny that she showed up. The bartender was laughing about it. And then I took the liberty to go up to the manager when I was leaving. I said, just so you know, that lady's out of her goddamn mind. So we came here last night. Loved it. Loved it. Bartender's fantastic. The whole joint's fantastic. That's why we came back. This place rules. So don't listen to her. So that got me thinking for this week's episode about when you're a waiter and you're a waitress and you get these assholes that come in. It's like almost like, dude, I'm fucking working the afternoon shift at Applebee's on the Boulevard. I don't give a fuck. You didn't like it? I don't care. Okay? Go make it yourself. I work in Wawa's all day, and a lot of people will come up to they yell at the person in Wawa making the sandwich, and it's like, what kind of mustard are you using? Don't, just a little bit of salt, not too much salt. Yo, shut the fuck up. Okay, if you really want the sandwich to be made in your weird OCD way, stay the hell home. Stay the hell home. Because no offense, I'm not getting paid enough money to determine what's a little bit of salt and I'm not. Because these people that ask for, just a little bit of salt, they don't know how much salt they want. They don't have a clue. They're just assholes. Oh, and they want to say things like this. Sorry, man. It's my OCD. No, it's not. You are an ASSHOLE. There is no OCD. You're just an asshole. Stay home, okay? I bet these are the same people that are double vaxxed and still wear a mask, okay? There's not a whole lot of room in society for these type of people. I don't like them. And working at a restaurant's actually pretty tough, though. Guys, I gotta take a bathroom break. Hopefully the producer can edit this out. I gotta take a pee-pee. I'll be right back.
Eventually.
All right, I'm back. So yeah, these restaurant industry, these people are taking a beating for no reason. I'll tell you a little story. When I first moved down here, I took a job at a brewery, and it was called Three Sons Brewery. If you haven't done so yet, I encourage you to go on to Yelp and tell that place how much they suck. That would be a real treat for me. And what happened with Three Sons Brewery was I'm sorry, but brewery people, you are just assholes. Why are they assholes? One of the first nights I was working there, someone came up and said, "Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? Can I get I'll try one of those, what is that IPA up there? Oh, Hawaiian Ale? Sure, yeah, we brew that here. Okay, great. My wife wants a Michelob Ultra. You know what they tell you if you ask for a Michelob Ultra? Sir, this is actually a brewery. We don't have that here. Fuck you. Fuck you, brewery people. Why not? Why not just carry a case of domestics? Because there's a lot of people out there. Look, I don't want the beer that the guy with the long beard and ski cap and goofy tattoos and skinny jeans has been cooking up back there. I just want a Michelob Ultra, okay? But if you do that at a brewery, they look down on you. Now, I took a job at this Three Sons Brewery, and my job there was a food runner. The way it worked was kind of weird, though. You're basically a waiter. You'd walk over, get these people's order, and then, run the food out to them. I don't really know how to describe it to you. And there was a kid there. His name was Austin. And I don't know that Austin's listening, but if you are, I hate your guts. I think you're one of the worst people I've ever met in my life. And you're a loser. But I digress. Austin was a kid that was like 25 years old, and he always wore a backwards hat, even indoors, and he spun a lanyard around. Dude, you're 25. I was like 16. I spun a lanyard. You can't be 25 out here spinning a goddamn lanyard. Okay, but he was always spinning that thing around. And he'd come up to me, "Hey, Francis." Everyone down here calls me Francis. "Hey, Francis, have you had a chance to look over our menu?" "Yeah, I looked at it." "Okay, do you have a good idea of what's on the menu?" "Yeah, I have a good idea." Now, the toughest part of this menu was the charcuterie board. If I'm not saying that right, if I'm saying charcuterie board, and it's something like charcuterie board, you have to understand, I don't give a fuck. So don't go, "Oh, did you hear how he said charcuterie?" I don't care. I don't care. I'm never going to order that in my life. Ever. Unless I'm with a girl that, whatever. And she wants let's get a charcuterie board. Fine. But I'm never going to do that. You know why? Because I'm a man. I'm a city slicker, and I'm not ordering a charcuterie board. Ever. That was the toughest thing on the charcuterie board, because there was like 5 types of cheeses on this charcuterie board. Now, this Austin fella, we can just refer to him as douchebag. We don't got to call him by his actual name. He would always come up to me and be like, out of nowhere, right? I'd be sitting there behind the counter at work. In the back. He'd be like, "Hey, Fran, what are the 4 cheeses on our charcuterie board?" I'd be like, provolone, pepper jack, shit, I'm drawing a blank. And the last 2 cheeses were like some nonsense, some cheese that you never even heard of. But Austin, this kid knew the menu back and forth. All the time, he'd just be walking by. "What's in the charcuterie board? Charcuterie board, charcuterie board." It just didn't stop. And most of the time, I would know. Now, one day, I got a table of about 8 people. And they're from Cleveland. And I'm bringing up to these people from Cleveland, "Hey, I'm Fran. I'll be your waiter today. I'll be taking care of you guys." "Cleveland, huh?" Oh, man. I just started watching the Drew Carey show again. That show is so great. Ohio. I'm making small talk. They're laughing with me. We're talking about the Cleveland Indians, how it's ridiculous they made them change their name, and we're having conversation. I think I'm doing a good job as a waiter. I'm keeping the customers engaged. Here comes Austin, and you say, Well, Frank, how did you know he was coming? Listen, he's always spinning that lanyard. Oh, fuck, here he comes. Comes right up to me. Hey, Francis, what are the 4 cheeses on our charcuterie board? I look at him, I'm stuck. I'm stuck, I don't know what to say. I'm like, I'm used to buying Kraft cheese, okay? I don't know what the answer is. I'm stuck. I'm like, you know what? I don't know right now. Can I get back to you in a second? Frank, come here, I gotta talk to you. You gotta know what the cheeses are. I'm about to grab him by the throat and put him through the wall, okay? I'm talking to the customers. I'm trying to make them have a good time. We're talking about the Drew Carey show, and they don't give a fuck about your charcuterie board, okay, you little piece of shit. Sorry, I don't like this kid. If I ever see him again, I'm punching him in the face. Oh boy, I better calm down today. I'm having this is an angry episode, it seems like. But if you're a waiter or a waitress and these people are harassing you all day, what real choice do you have but to be angry? I mean, they're just assholes. So Austin comes up to me. What's on the charcuterie board? And he brings me in the kitchen. Hey man, you've really got to know the charcuterie board. I'm like, dude, I don't think anyone cares about the charcuterie board. Everyone orders pizza, and they were famous for the pizza because that Guy Ferrari fella, he showed up one day and was giving them their flowers for the pizza. So throw the charcuterie board out. I love that, by the way. You're drinking a beer that's 7 million calories. But honey, let's watch our figure on the charcuterie board. Okay, what's in that bearded man's ale? Oh, well, it's 7,000 calories. Nothing to see here. So I worked at Three Sons for about a month. And another thing is, man, the chefs at that place they were so angry all the time. What the fuck? Chefs are like, and this was an open kitchen thing. Chefs are an angry group of people. No offense to them because they were very talented and they were actually nice to me. They need to there cannot be open concepts. Like, the chefs do their own thing. Do not have them out in the open. They need to be put in the back where they can smoke their cigarettes, they can take shots, they can curse, and they can yell at each other. You put that out in the open, that's a disaster. So I won't talk any crap about the chefs because I understand. I've never been a chef, and I respect chefs. What they do is not easy. What chefs do back there is not easy. So they're angry all the time. They usually curse at people. And I actually understand it. In comparison to the kid Austin, I love the chefs. Chefs are my best friends. But I ended up quitting that job because the guy Joe, that was the owner, I mean, this guy was a strapped ass. This guy was a dildo. He was just not a pleasant guy. So he comes in the one day. It's like 11 o'clock on a Tuesday. Nothing going on, right? So I come in, I fold up the pizza boxes, I clean the bathroom, scrub all the tables, I make sure all the chairs are even. Now it's like 11:30. There's not a lot to do. Joe comes in. Hey Joe, how you doing? Stares at me. Nothing. First of all, dickhead move. Someone says how you doing, just say okay. You don't have to just be an asshole and say nothing. Well, Joe says, go sweep out front. His response to me saying, hey Joe, how you doing, was go sweep out front. Now I go sweep out front. For the most part, a couple beer caps, gum wrappers, a few cigarette butts, etc. I clean them all up. I sweep them up. I come back inside. Joe comes up to me and says, hey, Fran, I want to talk to you for a second. Come outside with me real quick. I walk outside with this guy. He says, what's that right there? I look down. There's a cigarette butt in the cracks. He says, what is that? I said, well, looks like a cigarette butt, my bad. I pick it up in my hand. He goes like this. I thought I told you to sweep up. Screams at me like that. Now, wait a second. Hold the fucking phone. I was 31 years old. I'm depressed. I'm living 1,200 miles from home. I'm trying to get by. And this guy, this little man, who I could throw against the wall, who's paying me $10 an hour, thinks he can yell at me. Pick up the cigarette butt. I said, Joe, you know what? Give me 1 second. I got to get something in my car. I got in that car and drove away. Not doing it. I'm not having a sit down. We're not talking. I'm just leaving. Okay? Guys, there's a lot of jobs out there that'll pay you $12 an hour, $10 an hour. You don't get talked to like that. If you have a Joe in your life, you tell Joe, hey, go fuck yourself. You go across the street, you get the same job. Yeah, that was my experience working in the industry down here, but I talked to a few waiters And a lot of my friends used to work at a place called the Burger Bar, Gallows, over there on the boulevard. Great spot, by the way. We're not knocking the restaurant. We're just knocking some of the customers. And my one buddy, Vincenzo Boiano, as I call him, he was the waiter one day for the lunch shift. And as you know, the lunch shift, not that many people come in, so they usually understaff a little bit. Maybe 2 people on the floor. But sometimes at a lunch shift, you can get whacked, and you don't know when it's coming. It's almost like a tornado. It's like, holy shit, where are all these people coming from? It can happen. It has happened. It will happen. The best you can do for that is just tell yourself, hey, I'm going to make some more money today. Try and stay calm. Try and get the orders in and just survive the lunch shift. Because what happens is you survive that 11:45 to 1:30, and then cobbleweeds. I mean, nothing. There's no one coming in again until about 5. So you just got to survive the lunch shift. Be on your A game. You know, it is what it is. But Vince is working the one day by himself, and he's hustling around. He's got like 10, 12 tables. He's running around, and this guy walks in, a construction guy, and he says, "Hey, what's up, man? Just trying to get a burger." Now, not his fault because the place is called Burger Bar. But he comes up to Vince and he puts a burger and he wants it well done. But he tells Vince, hey, I'm in a hurry. He says, man, we're backed up, but I'll do the best I can. Hey, dude, by the way, I'm not a chef, but if you're in a hurry, does it really need to be well done? Can't you just say medium? Is that wrong? I don't know. I'm not a chef. I could be wrong on that. But Vince tells him, I'll do the best I can. So 5 minutes comes by and the guy's outside. And he got a Pepsi too. Red flag. Get a beer, dude. He gets a Pepsi and he's sitting outside. He comes in, he says, hey man, is that burger ready? And Vince is running around getting nutty. He says, no. Not yet. We're working on it. He goes, all right. Comes back in 2 minutes later and Vince is running around getting nutty. He goes, hey man, where's my burger? He goes, I'm not sure. He's running around. He says, I'm not sure. The guy says, where the fuck is it? He screams at poor Vince who's doing his best. Where the fuck's my burger? And, what can you do but laugh? I mean, you're that worked up over it. Hey, dude, if you're in a rush at lunch, go to McDonald's. I go to McDonald's like 3 times a week. I get the spicy chicken sandwich, and I'm out of there, okay? No longer than 5 minutes. So then Vince walks up to him, and he hands the guy his receipt, whatever it is, $12. And the guy flicks the receipt. I'm not paying for that. It took too long. Can you imagine, though? Just imagine that you think in your little head you can go into a restaurant, order a burger, and just not pay for it? Because it took 12 minutes? Fuck you! I mean, it's kind of out of control. I've never sent food back in my life. If I order a burger and chicken tenders come out, I'm eating the chicken tenders. If I order chicken tenders and a burger comes out, I'm eating the burger. I mean, that's just me. But these people out there, the way they're treating these poor people working, not poor that way, just, these waiters and waitresses, they're barely getting by. And then you got to deal with a dickhead coming in and screaming at you. Stay home. Make your food at the house. If you're that bothered by it, if it has to be a certain way, stay home. Just go out and relax. Have you ever done that? Just go relax, get something to eat, have a few drinks, relax. You don't need to go fucking crazy when your burger's not cooked exactly right. And another one he told me was that a table of 12 people, he referred to them as gypsies, and they come in, all 12 of them, they come in, they get a big meal together, and they didn't like it. All 12 of them didn't like the meal, and they walk out. I believe that there's people out there that can come into a restaurant, everything could be perfectly the way they wanted it, and they just say, I didn't like it, and then send it back and not pay. I feel like that happens a lot, and that's just out of control. I remember one time when I was working at a bar downtown, West Tavern, R.I.P., and they used to have, most bars like that, they'll have a good-looking girl working the afternoon shift, because you're basically having construction union guys coming in there for lunch. They get 2 Budweisers, some chicken tenders, they're out the door. Now, the one day I had worked the afternoon shift, and I'll tell you what, credit to these women, these girls, they're putting up with these men who are just goons coming in, gonna get a Budweiser and 3 chicken tenders. And that's just the way it is. And And they have the good-looking girls, and they get these construction workers, and that's the dynamic they're going for. But the one day, the girls couldn't work, and I worked. I show up around 11 o'clock, take the tables down, spray the bar down, and here comes the construction crowd. Let me tell you something. Now, these guys were very nice to me. The union guys are always great tippers. They take care of you. There is nothing more intimidating for a man. First of all, they're expecting to see hot chicks behind the bar. They come in for their lunch break, there's me. Right away, they're not happy. And I'm not good at remembering orders and things. It was a fucking nightmare. I remember the one guy had a great line. He goes, who's this guy? We didn't ask for this guy. He ain't got no tits. I thought that was a funny line, stuck with me. Waiters and waitresses work their balls off, and when it's crowded, you know, I don't know what to tell you. That they're not thinking about you. They're trying their best, but in the grand scheme of things, it's tough to remember things. And for you to scream and yell at them, you stay home and make your own food. That's pretty much the moral of this story. Stay home and make your own food if you're really going to go out to a restaurant and bitch at people. All right, guys, this episode went, well, we got that little bathroom break in the middle there, but we're going to wrap it up here. Kind of didn't have much to talk about this week, but we're just trying to put an episode out for our listeners. T-shirts are going out on Friday. If you haven't ordered one yet, please make an order. And that's going to do it for Soaring Highs and Crushing Lows, Season 1, Episode 15. Have a good night.